Welcome to part 3. This will be a focus on my art. The art gallery section of the man cave of Blast 42 has sort of a little bit of a history. This piece here, this big thing in the corner, this was one of the last pieces that I did in the for initial stage using photography as photographs. I mean, actually painting on printouts of photographs. Now this one, I took this photograph on New Year's Eve 2001 in the Dublin. All three subjects are bartenders. That's Sean Brown in the middle. On the left of the screen, Sean's right is Jen. It's the girl I kind of fell in love with in 2002. And well, she wouldn't have. She could have been the one very quickly, but boy, what a lot of confusing time. But her blind faith, religious-like devotion in the Republican Party certainly would have doomed our relationship. The abstracts I did in 2010, where I was mass-producing art, the last 4 of these are right there. There's a new batch. I did this one as a giant poster. You can kind of see what it is. The media is 2 strips of 4 connected paper towels. And that's what the media is. The media. Now over here we got, they actually show up Jimmy and Stevie. Those are the first number 1, number 2, number 1 and number 4 I did, and number 3 was Marilyn over here. Now my subject spotlight of the week is Mary Kay, my best friend I've ever had as a woman. I met her as a freshman in college, a math class. Unquestionably, I experienced love at first sight. I spent almost 5 years as one of her best friends, and certainly she was the best friend I had in college that I made during those years. She had a brain tumor a couple years ago, and the reoccurrence of it 2 years ago. I did a painting, the drawing for her, painting on the middle there, on the left in the middle, and the one right below the drawing 2 years ago, and the painting on the bottom left I've done this year, which has led to the current work, which is there is the painting of her I'm working on right now. You can see this is like I've taken my game to a whole new level. There's a t-shirt. I did that t-shirt 17 years ago, and look how bright the colors still are. That's Kron, Wasmo Spaswell, the insane line cook, raging jackass. Greg McCallum, the artist that worked with him at Mondo's and Coralville, came up with that whole concept. Here's some other things I've been working on. There's the painting of Emma, quite a bit of work to be done. Tabby Cat Petey, that's not Trinity or Waldo, that's actually Wade, my guitar coach's Cat Petey. You might remember him, that's Buddy. That's the second dog we had after he got out and never came back after high school. Jen, that's the girl again at 2002, the Dublin bartender. And we got Beth over here. She was a Shakespeare's bartender, taken about 2002 as well. Now this is an interesting one. You won't recognize her, but we went to high school with her, and this picture was taken 2 years ago. She is 56 years old. Stephanie Sullivan. She was very, very good friends with Sue Shepler and Emily Erickson. She never worked at the Ponderosa, but she hung out with those 3 all the time, so I got to know her quite well. She was nothing special physically. She has completely blossomed into a goddess, and you see, it's just unbelievable. She looks like she's in her mid-20s. Now, these 2 are young women I've met here in Rochester. This one in particular is a lot of work. Danielle has a way of wearing her makeup that just is, there just isn't enough contrast for me to do much with in the drawing, and it's been hard to get it into the painting. But you can see I finally figured out the direction of the light source, so now I can actually make this into something good. And this is Rachel. Now this is the coolest one, because this is not the real painting, or actually, now the second one. This is the real painting. Again, the medium I used and the way I traced it out in the beginning led me to have the image on the back, and then there it is. This will be a true 2-sided piece, mirroring the images on each other. The one on the back will actually be better than the one on the front. And then this will probably be my masterpiece when it's finally done. This painting I know you've seen, it's one you actually like. I kind of am keeping it for you, but this, again, I haven't done any work on it in 10 years after I finally got the water to a point, but now I'm working on that tree in the foreground, and boy, I've got the depth of scale. I got a lot of work in the foreground. But again, I need to work on this hill on the right, over here, I want you to, again, separate this rock so that there's a clear separation. This needs to be a shear face cut off here from the slope. This will be a cave with a bear emerging, and there'll be some deer up here that are coming out to the river to drink. And in our foreground here, we're going to have some 3 different kinds of turtles basking on the rocks, and there'll be some frogs, and there's going to be a fish jumping out of the water, and a little beaver with a log. And then over here, there may be actually a human subject, and they're going to have a little girl. And it can probably either be Audrey or Emma that I'll use as the subject for the face, but obviously be very small. But I want to get this as 3D depth as possible. And you can see what I've done with the sky is the standard technique I use. It's sky blue in regular light, and of course it turns night under black light, and then putting the sun in there, and I do that right, it turns into the moon with the man in the moon face at night. So this is really going to be cool, but it's going to take years to finish this thing off, so it's kind of like Da Vinci would keep on to his things. And Da Vinci is the only artist I've ever been interested in, and I have, you might say Da Vinci's my they assume it's all the rest of the stuff, which is all simply true, but it all started with his art, and there's never been another artist that I've had any interest in, not Michelangelo, Rembrandt, Picasso, any of them. I've always wanted to paint these kinds of portraits, and again, my contribution is taking the same level of direct on portraits and doing it for my animal friends, which brings us over to here. Here is the Hawkeye portrait, and all 3 I actually got. You see the flaw that I can now correct when I did this in 2005. This again, white light, black light, and you see the jerseys are not white. They're actually more white down here in the bottom, the glow in the dark, which you can barely see. But I've got, now these are original prints. This is not an actual photograph of Trinity and Waldo. It was 2 photos together that I digitally brought them into the same image. I created the sunset background digitally, so I could have all kinds of backgrounds for them. These were dyed, not painted. The original was never painted at all, much less was fluorescent. I've made these fluorescent with dyes in about 10 to 15 minutes on a black and white printout of the drawing. I digitally put in a copy of the background. There could be lots of backgrounds. I could